All right, Paulie, we are here for another special edition of Sports from the Couch. This time, our friend, our right-hand man when it comes to battle, the only person I trust when it comes to Mercado airwaves and putting out sports information out there, and awful hot takes, is friend of the show, my brother, Paul Chivari. Paul, welcome back to the show, man.
Thanks for having me. Awful hot takes?
Oh, we absolutely suck. Apparently, that's what YouTube and the whole universe says about us. But I guess that's what the haters should say about
That's
everybody.
what everyone
right?
says about
Yeah,
everyone,
it's
though.
all right, whatever. Friends, we have a lot of good stuff we need to get to today. Normally, when Mr. Chivari is on the show here on Sports from the Couch on Mercado Airwaves, we really just talk about the diamond baseball. But you know what? We're doing things a little different. We are more complicated men than that, okay? So we're going to talk about other sports. We're going to talk about basketball. We're going to talk about hockey. We're going to talk about soccer. And not men's soccer, guys, because we're also progressive, okay? We're going to talk about women's soccer and them absolutely destroying Thailand and what it kind of meant in the sports world, what everybody was talking about. And people were talking about, were they overstepping their grounds by destroying this team? I don't know if they were saying the same thing in the Stanley Cup Finals if St. Louis is going to be up by 4 points, but we'll talk about that in a little bit.
But if you want to talk about soccer, Liverpool won the European Cup.
Absolutely not.
Yep.
Absolutely not. That is your one, sir. That is your one.
Liverpool. I get it out of the way. They did it. I'm still buzzing 2 weeks later. We'll get out of the way. I mean, unless you really want to talk about it. Yeah. It was really good. It was a sweet,
You know what? I really don't.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and talk about one of the most important things that we've seen today is the official news that Kevin Durant does have a ruptured Achilles, and he did have surgery. So I guess the one thing that we obviously know what impact it means as a player. It's one of the best players on the planet, probably the best player right now. I ask you, Paul, not necessarily whether or not what it meant, and shout out to the Blues
St.
who are
Louis
now
Blues taking a 2-0 lead as we record this in Game 7.
How much time in the ad? So people have a live track.
Late, like 7 seconds left in the first.
So you guys already know the outcome.
Big turnaround, yeah.
Yeah, right. The people listening already know the outcome, but we are watching the Stanley Cup live time, so you might hear some weird noises coming out of the man cave here, the Mercado Airways
about
studios.
to go to intermission.
Yeah. So Kevin Durant's injury, I think this is one of the interesting conversations because people were always talking about, whether or not he would have played if this was a November game. I guess, Paul, what I want to ask you is, it was a lose-lose situation for him, wasn't it? Like, I think we could say that whether it's in sports, like when somebody, if it's a pitcher or, you're starting left fielder where...
Yeah, when it comes
back?
down to you, when it all depends on it, and you're injured and you come back, dude, do it. You got to do it. Think like Derrick Rose with the knee,
That was a big one. This is what a lot of people are comparing it to is... When the players
so the thing I didn't know was, I knew Durant was out, Durant was hurt. I didn't think he was coming back, and I was Jerry Riles was telling me he's not coming back. That Kevin Durant tried to come back, and if Kevin Durant felt like he was good enough to come back, then so go to Kevin Durant. But didn't in this first game back, didn't he hit two threes right off the bat? He
looked good.
He's good. He's Kevin Durant. He's an amazing basketball player. Did he look good? And it was just that one game, right? Or did he play two? It was just that one.
It was that one.
It didn't even it was early when he came out too.
I would say the biggest issue that I have is you got to trust your own body. We'll never really know whether or not the front office or the training staff pressured him into playing. Now, mind you, them being down 3-1, I'm sure internally he was thinking I need to go ahead and play this game. I need
in
to help
the
my
NBA
teammates.
Finals.
But at the same time, you also have to make sure you keep the players from hurting themselves if you're the front office, if you're the training staff. But the training staff and the front office also work for the team. So they want to win this finals. They want to extend this as much as possible. I guess we could take this step by step. If you were Kevin Durant, would you have played? You personally.
I don't know. I don't know the extent of the injury. That's so hard to say because it's what's the pain? You showed the video to me, and I didn't realize how serious that was.
Oh yeah, you can see a rubber band up.
Yeah, and it's terrible. I really feel for the guy because he's an amazing guy, and you never want to see that happen to anyone, but especially such an amazing player at this stage in his career. A chance, really, if he was healthy, I think Durant would have steamrolled over the Raptors
for at least that game for sure. And
if it was 100%, I think the Warriors are going on to a three-peat.
Oh, okay.
As we're talking here, the Raptors have 3 chances to close out the series. They couldn't do it at home. Yeah. They have a chance to do it in Golden State, and then they have a chance to do it at home. And I honestly think Golden State could win it all, but who knows? Maybe depending on when people hear this,
right? Yeah,
the Raptors are champions. Yeah,
or one of the biggest comebacks in history has happened again.
We'll see.
But
I could see Golden State doing it, but I think the Raptors will be champions ultimately.
Totally. I think what's interesting about this too is knowing KD was going for a huge contract this coming up off season. Now, let me ask you this: knowing that he had surgery, that it was the Achilles, that it did rupture, would you offer him the max if you were, let's say, the Knicks or the Lakers? Or
and
whoever?
He's out next year.
He's out next year.
If I'm the Knicks, yeah.
Right? We were saying this in our manager's office today at the radio station that I think the most important thing is who's giving him the contract. If you're Golden State, you're only paying him to rehab. Well, maybe that might be a good thing of faith. Let's say you do win the series, right? Let's say Golden State does win the series. I think you do offer him that kind of contract, and you're just the goodwill of it. It kind of is good karma for you. But again, it doesn't make business sense. But I'm just saying, like the good narrative for the good PR move is that.
Yeah.
The smart business move, if you're the Knicks, is I don't care. Get healthy this year. We'll get you a good draft pick. You'll come back. We'll get you another free agent next year when you're healthy. Take your time. And Knicks fans will totally wait as long as they have to for Kevin Durant to start in Madison Square Garden.
Could you think of like any basketball team though if like Will Smith popped up as the genie in Aladdin and said like, all right, I grant you 3 basketball wishes, and it's like,
can be one.
I want Kevin Durant. They're like, okay, but you have
name
to.
a team that wouldn't take Kevin Durant right now if Will Smith showed up in a blue.
Genie thing. I'm not saying it actually happened, but maybe what if he showed up?
In my head, it's actually happening. I will say.
What if I can give you Kevin Durant, but you got to wait a year?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe San Antonio. Like, just because they're stubborn enough. No team would. In all honesty, in their own heart, I think if they were to a man or a woman, they would not. All of them will take Kevin Durant and wait the year. He's only 31, 32 years old, so you still have in basketball the way they're conditioned, the way he is.
Now that I think about this, like it might not be till like 2021 by the time he plays again.
Really plays, yeah, I agree. Because you have
and like why not? I would like he's out this year and he's out all next year. I could see that.
But then 3 good years.
Like, what do you think? There's no way. There's no way he plays within the next season. It's because it's so late in the year.
Do you want? Let's see his actual age, because I think that has.
Oh no! I could figure this out.
Ahead.
Hold on. Okay, so like, he would be. 31. Yeah, you're right. 31.
31, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 30 years old. He turns 31 in September. So
Yep.
He turns 31 this year. So, it's crazy how fast the years have gone by. I remember that draft like it was yesterday. The Greg Oden, Kevin Durant draft. Yeah. Such an interesting draft.
Yep. That was the time. I was like, it was like 07 or something. Yeah,
great. That was a very interesting draft.
I was Oden. I was Team Oden all the way.
I was always what's interesting is I always look for the outliers. Like, I actually have a really good track record of.
Yeah, but I did that with Adam Morrison, and I was wrong on that too.
See, I knew Adam Morrison.
But I knew
Adam Morrison. But what killed Adam Morrison is that he ended
I was really rooting for Adam Morrison.
Yeah, but when you end up in the Charlotte Bobcats at the time was not a good thing for his career. So like that has a lot to do with how a player goes. So like look at Steph Curry. I was thinking when I thought of Steph Curry, I was thinking about a team with like Monte Ellis, Klay Thompson. Like,
do you remember Steph Curry in college though?
Yeah,
I remember
that
Davidson. Like, there was like took him to like the Sweet 16 one year, and it was like, look at this guy.
I screenshotted text messages from that draft telling my uncle Steph Curry would be the best player from that draft.
Did they get to a regional final? Like
the
Elite Eight?
No, it was the Sweet 16.
Sweet 16, yeah.
So at least from what I can think of, let us know in the comment section below or on our Twitters. He's at Paul Chivari. I'm at Emercado2333. Where did Davidson end up the year Steph Curry was in the NCAA tournament with them? But yeah, Kevin Durant being 30 years old. So you know what? But if I were, I would be all in. I would be a shout out to Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley's at Game 7 on NBC. That's weird.
Oh yeah, I was for some reason.
Between basketball and hockey, would you expect Charles Barkley to be on the
maybe
hockey
side? He's a gambling man though, so maybe you know what he's gambled over the years on hockey that he might know a little something about it.
I'll tell you what. What's the weekend guy or the NHL guy? What's his He's like the Olympic weekend guy. NBC is like kind of younger guy that the new Bob Costas.
New Bob Costas, get over here.
I feel bad that I don't remember his name. Sorry, broadcaster guy.
No, he's new Bob Costas. That's okay. Hey, speaking of new Bob Costas, who's been part of some very big calls, we do have a Game 6 and Game 7 that's going to happen in the NBA Finals. So as we kind of wrap this all up, first of all, let's go for the first one. Where does KD end up at the end of the season? Does Golden State offer him a 2-year deal? Does he just sign in and opt in?
How's the relationship in Oakland with him, or San Francisco soon? Like,
it seems good. Yeah. I know it's interesting.
I mean, like, I don't know. I mean,
as
you know,
good as anywhere could be.
You hear all sorts of drama with a team like
Always,
Golden State.
though.
You know,
yeah, but you hear a lot of drama with guys like Kevin Durant.
Does Kevin Durant fit with the Golden State Warriors? Do you think that'll?
I think they like
him and Curry, or like him, Curry, and Clay, or
I think the talk over the years of people saying that they were going to be disenfranchised and defractured has made them closer. Because it could have gone either way with this team. You and I talk about that with a lot of championship teams where sometimes it feels like it's going to go one extreme or the other. This was one of those cases where when they first were brought in together, it could have gone one way this way or one way the other. And I think it worked out for the organization. I think that he's going to end up with the Knicks. I think somebody's going to give him a long-term
Why the
deal.
Knicks, though?
Because they have the space. They have all the money in the world.
Does he want to go to the Knicks?
That's always been the talk. To be the guy to bring a championship to Madison Square Garden.
Is Durant the type of guy that wants a teammate or wants to do it on his own?
I don't know. I mean,
because the whole thing about it is buddying up. Like, LeBron gets a free pass for buddying up. Like, the whole bit is like Jordan didn't buddy up. You know, like they built a team. He didn't have to because he had Pippen, and like I get it. Like, but like
here's the thing: Golden State didn't buddy up. Golden State was drafted. Kevin Durant joined Golden State.
Yeah,
but like they were built. Like that was a home built team.
And then LeBron and D Wade and Bosh, doing their thing.
And the Celtics, the original big three of the Celtics. Yeah, no.
But it wasn't even that like part of a trade, but it was a plan. And it's
happened before though.
That's the way to do it. So
the Lakers tried it when
does he stay with Golden State to keep that easy? Does he go to a different team because
I think he goes whoever offers him the longest term, most money at this point. Right now.
Yeah.
Right now. And I think a lot of it has to
And where's the smartest place for him to go? The Knicks?
Well, that's different. The smartest place to stay in
I think so. I think that I'd love Durant on the Knicks. And I would love it if the Knicks were good again. And I hate the Knicks.
I hate the Knicks.
I hate the Knicks too.
But I hate the idea of a team failing upwards. It's the idea where the Bulls were going to get the number one pick with Zion. It's like you didn't earn that. Yeah. Like you're failing upwards. And that's
like, okay, so how would you have felt if LeBron went to the Bulls?
Again, they had nothing to do with it. LeBron decided.
We've talked about this. I swear we have.
Well, because the idea is like, of course you're excited and like the idea of like knowing LeBron is playing for your team, but this idea is like it wouldn't be John Paxson Gar Forman anymore. It would be LeBron James running the Chicago Bulls, and that doesn't mean good or bad. It's just that would be the scenario.
Durant wouldn't run the Knicks. Right. Durant wouldn't run.
And I think James Dolan, regardless, is a garbage person, so I don't want him to ever. And I like New York, so I hope the Knicks. What I find funny about the Knicks is kind of this idea that they're this banner raising team. Like they're really not. They're just a great arena and great fans that deserve better. So I don't want James Dolan to fail upwards. But I feel like he's going to, and by citing Kyrie and Kevin Durant. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll find out more about that. But how does the series end up?
I think Raptors. I want
how many games?
I want to see Golden State come back. I think Golden State's good enough to do it without Durant.
Sure.
I'm surprised it got to this point, but I think the Raptors are going to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think Raptors finish up in Game 6.
I think it's going to go to 7. I think it's going to go to 7.
I refuse to make a pick in Game 7.
No, I'll just say Raptors. I think
if it goes Game 7, I'm going Golden State.
Home crowd. I think they'll give them a good game out in Oakland if they don't win, and then they'll come back for Toronto.
Nothing's better for a team with their back against the wall than beating the home team and winning Game 7. It's going to be interesting.
Well, look at the Blues have to go on the road to try and win. They're up 2-0. I mean, and we're talking now, the Bruins might win 5-2 tonight.
Yeah, right, yeah. We'll find, watch, we'll find out. Speaking of winning 5-2, let's go ahead and jump into the Women's World Cup really fast. You got your shout-out in for your Liverpool, United Kingdom, or whatever they're called. United States beats Thailand 13-0. Obviously, they're the best team in the world. And they
won it last time, right?
Yeah, they're going for their fourth straight, I think. Yeah, they're crazy. This is what I want to go into. Why do you think it's such a big deal that people were upset about them celebrating after every single goal?
I didn't see the celebration, so I can't speak to that. But like, depending on how it is, 13-0 is ridiculous. But at the same time, like, my thought on it is like, you came here to play in the World Cup, so
it's the World Cup.
Like, they probably could have beat on Thailand worse.
Oh, yeah. If they went even harder? Like, do you think they really went as hard as they can? Yeah.
I saw some of those goals, and it was like, oh, this could be 24-0.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. I understand the daily radio host, like a Carmen DeFalco or someone like that, who says, act like you've been there before. Fine. I know where you're coming from and the idea of you're watching 162 baseball games a year by two teams. You watch 16 Bears games. So you're always in the mentality of watching a lot of sports, watching a lot of achievement. First of all, you're not watching a lot of soccer. I know you're not. I know a lot of you people are. I know some of you are really diehard when it comes to international soccer, but I know a lot of you aren't watching women's soccer nationally, let alone internationally. So chill on the idea of like been there before. This is their stage in a time of women's sports that's like at its biggest. So this is when they're showing their dominance. Now, if this was like a friendly in January, I'd be like, all right, like ease up.
Oh, then they would have cycled some people in or just
World Cup guys.
Yeah.
The World Cup. And guess what? They're gonna do even worse to Chile, I think, because Chile has from what I've read over the last just because of this story, Chile is actually supposed to be not as good as Thailand, but they have a good goalkeeper. So it's gonna be an interesting dynamic. But they're going on their way for another World Cup win.
I think with enough coaching, the Chilean women should be able to have
it's
team.
a good country for soccer, so you would think it would.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I would think more than Thailand. Like Chilean men do pretty well, so I would think like Chilean soccer, Chilean women, I think would have a good team.
I feel like I know this answer, but confirm it for me. How many years is in between every World Cup?
4.
Okay, so it is the Olympic cycle.
Yeah, but it's like Winter Olympic years.
Okay, right. Okay. So that's where. So again, they're only doing this every 4 years.
Yeah.
So like that just.
But there's other stuff in between. But you're right. Yeah, it's the only time like whenever they get together, that big world tournament.
Yeah,
like the World Cup means something. I love the World Cup.
Yes.
Like that's kind of what got me into soccer. I think was the World Cup.
Of course, yeah. So I think ease up and enjoy it. We always talk about having more fun. Have more fun. Like we talk about these baseball players not having fun. And, the old school style of play, it's like they're having fun when they're scoring goals. They're trying to make soccer entertaining in their own way, in their own gender. Let them do it, damn it. Like, to me, I think people just, the sanctity of sports and games. It's called a game. Like, it is important. It does mean something. It is a lot of money.
It's the world stage. I think if the United States wants to whoop up on Thailand on the world stage,
and
they're allowed to.
Represent themselves that way.
They're allowed to.
Yep.
There's a level of sportsmanship, but at the same time, I think 13-0 is sportsmanship.
Right.
Obviously, they were that much better. What's the difference between 8-0 and 13-0?
I totally agree. And
I mean, it's I get it. It wasn't 15. 15 might have been excessive.
Yeah.
16, 13. It was an outburst.
I would love to hear. If
they had 4 in a 4-minute span at one point. Like it was, I mean, it's.
But this is to me. This is what comes. I would love to hear people have the same argument about Bill Belichick scoring up on a team.
Are the Patriots really guilty of that?
They do it. People have said it, but it's like the conversation dies out really fast. I think a lot of it has to do
happens in college, but like college football. Well, at the same time, like
style points.
At the same time, though, you got to think of. We're talking about the world stage and like how you got to win your World Cup, win. You're like we're professionals, let's do this. Yeah. Like here's our chance. This is it. College football is like that every year on a yearly basis. If you're a powerhouse team, it's like we got to win. We can't lose. We got to win.
And we accept that
13-0 or 12-0.
How did you beat the seventh ranked team in the nation, and how did you do the next weekend? Yep. But then in soccer,
you can't lose. It's like like that's my shot. You're like, oh, the one loss got us out of the playoff.
I don't want to be that guy, but I think a lot of it has to do with optics. I think it just so happens to be the sport and who's playing it. People have a quicker trigger to certain things. I'm not saying that they're looking for it. They just have a quicker trigger to it than, let's say, some other sports. I think a lot of it has to do with investment, too. It's easier to judge and talk about something when you're not as involved in it. Because imagine if somebody said the same thing about baseball when a team wins 15-1. And they're like, announcer, and be like, man, they really put it on them, right? Have you really soaked in that home run? Man, Tim Anderson really took up that bat flip. They're like, did you see that it went 455 though? You know how hard it is to hit a home run?
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to get to the World Cup, to get an open goal, to make it, it is.
There's a level of sportsmanship and there's a level of honestly, who cares? Obviously we know the result.
Right. I get it. So speaking of Mr. Timmy Anderson and Javi Baez, why don't we go ahead and talk about our two favorite baseball teams in Chicago, the Chicago Cubs, the Chicago White Sox. Talk about MLB in general. The Cubs came off a big win today as we're recording.
They
was a nice win, and the Rockies.
I
love playing the Rockies. I love watching it. I love watching the Rockies.
Especially losing the first two in that series. It's good to see the Cubs won the last one.
Again, that idea of Cole Hamels being a stopper. Always every few weeks.
He's been really good. Yeah.
And it's good that now you have Lester going to California to play Kershaw.
And lately he's been, Lester Kershaw.
Great game.
Classic lefties. Classic lefties. Oh, I love it.
Wait for that. Yeah.
When's that one? Is that Friday?
Yeah, it's Friday. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun. I guess just let's have a general discussion of where we're at right now. I've actually really enjoyed baseball in the city this year. Beyond just the idea of like the Cubs have a good record, the White Sox have been hovering around 500, kind of teasing a little bit about being there.
Yeah, they were supposed to be a little better this year.
Yeah. It's
about there. You
know, you know what? They're right around where
they're right about there. Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying what we're seeing right now. I'm enjoying what the White Sox have done. I'm enjoying what the Cubs have done with Kimbrel. When you have it checked, I think a lot of Cub fans, and I appreciate the Cub fans being excited for it. When you keep yourself in check, it's a nice move getting Craig Kimbrel to be your closer. It's a nice move if you make a run of October. You have to also accept the idea that he had a rough October, that he is prone to giving away his pitches. It has happened before. He does give you the potential of allowing yourself to be in a position to win a World Series. I think then if you go to the South Side, the right guys have produced. The right guys are producing at the right moments. The right guys are winning you games. And they're close to figuring it all out. I think that's what's important.
They've had some tough injuries with pitching, and
Lucas Giolito found the way to turn it around.
They weren't supposed to be winners this year, so there's some figuring it out. But it's good to see. It's good to see that Eloy Jimenez just hit that monster home run at home. Finally got that. That got out of the way.
Kind of sucks that it took till June, but you got to give it as long as it takes because there's going to be many of them.
But he had like 7 or 8 on the road, and like in some monsters. That's what I was like. I knew it that night. I was like, he's going to come home,
and it's going to get warm.
Smack one.
It's going to get warm at the cell. So
did you see where he hit it though?
Yeah. I mean, Javi had a monster one today too, and you got to give it.
This hasn't happened. I don't think anyone. I can't think of the last White Sox player to hit it there.
Frank never did.
It's been a long time.
Sure.
It's been a long time, brother, since Frank Thomas was hitting home runs. It's been almost 15 years since Frank Thomas was.
I'm old, bro. They don't ever.
I know. It's been a long time since Frank Thomas was.
What about Paulie or Tommy? Neither one of them?
Well, Tommy, maybe in that. See, even then. Well, we have to look. Where did Tommy hit the when they won it in
blackout?
The blackout game 163.
Oh, where was it? I can't think of it because now I could.
It was straightaway center, but that's where Eloy hit it. Yeah. I don't know. Either way,
well, I'm trying to think where.
Post it in the comments if you got opinion on that. Jim Tomei's blackout game home run versus Eloy Jimenez's home run the other day.
Find me the YouTube clip, guys. Leave it on the comment section below wherever you're listening to this, especially if you're on YouTube. But I'm really enjoying where we're at right now. So I guess the next conversation is we are going to see Cubs versus White Sox. So that's going to be fun to really see both teams play each other.
Match up.
You're going to have both.
At Wrigley first, right?
Yeah, Wrigley first, and they go to the South Side. I think it's fun though because both fan bases now get a chance to kind of see both teams closely.
They'll be competitive against each other, I think, for the first time in a few years.
They'll be competitive because both teams are always competitive, and I think the most important things are actually.
But you know, like the last two, the White Sox were like, oh well, like what White Sox team do you get? Like,
but this is going to be a competitive.
I don't know. The last 2 years, I felt as a White Sox fan that it's like, all right, the Cubs are probably going to steamroll us, but like that's obviously supposed to be on paper what happens.
It's funny you say that because I don't know the exact numbers. I'm sure we could find them, but just off the top of my head, I feel like it doesn't matter what the records are when it comes to these two teams when they play each other. It doesn't really matter. Like they're going to give each other good games.
It's a live baseball game. I think is really unique to each experience, and I do think crowds make a difference. Sure, I think when I've never heard a player in the Chicago series, any team that's played for both of those teams, that's ever like been like, no, that's not a big deal. Like they're always like, no, like like the fans show up. It means a lot. It's like their little playoffs. Like,
it is
a little playoff game. Like it doesn't get bitter between the players like we think, or the fans think. But it's like, but there's a rivalry. Yeah. There is a rivalry.
Yeah, totally.
That's why I love that there's a rivalry. I think it's sacred and pure that the way they do it. Like the 4 games this year, the 6 games every 3 years, like. Keep it pure, like a homestand there, a homestand here.
And it feels good.
Let's see the Crosstown series. Where are we both at this year? And
I think as long as people, and the most important thing about this series is nothing on the field. It really is off the field. As long as both fan bases are keeping it jolly, it's a jolly series. It's such a fun series. It's in the summer, moms and dads, brothers and sisters, boyfriend and girlfriend, boyfriend and boyfriend, dogs and cats. Like it is the most fun. At a baseball game, it is, and it's much more fun than Mets Yankees. It's much more fun than whatever they do in LA because, in theory, we don't take it as serious to that. It's serious, but we don't take it as serious like that. Maybe that's just our thing, but I really like. there's always fights at baseball games. There's always fights at sporting events. But I don't feel like Cubs White Sox is really violent. Like
San Francisco. I've seen some.
Yeah,
I've seen some.
I feel like San Francisco.
No, and think about like 1906. It did. Like it will. And if it goes World Series, it will. If it has to, it will. I've seen it. I've seen violence in the stands at a Cubs Sox game.
Oh, I'm not saying no violence. What I'm saying is,
and even like stories. I've heard stories of like arguments that turn pretty bad. The
better way to say it is
it's bitter. It's a bitter
right.
rivalry.
No, totally. I think the better way to say it is it's not the story of the rivalry like others are. It's not what the
It's just it's so old. It's an old awesome rivalry.
Yeah. But like you understand, like when I think of certain hometown rivalries, I think of violence. Like when I think of 49ers Raiders, I think of people dying. Like
gunshots, fights.
You see what I'm saying? You see how your face shakes?
Yeah. Terrible.
Cubs is nowhere near that.
So much that the towns had to cancel it. Like these teams are not allowed to play in preseason when they feel like playing each other.
See what I'm saying? Like it's not like
when the game doesn't count in preseason and fourth stringers battle it out. Please do not fight and kill each other. Yeah,
and I think that's the difference. It's like. Nationally, the Cubs White Sox isn't known as that. Casually, it's just the Crosstown Classic. That's what people know it as. But then you think of other rivalries like, oh, that's a dirty rivalry. That's like a legit. People like hate each other. So
Chicago's like it's an old school awesome rivalry though. Anyone that does not live in Chicago that doesn't understand Cubs Sox, like it's a really cool rivalry. It totally is a thing though. But and you do have the many that are like, well, I like both. Or
there's a lot of that.
I feel like there was a lot of Cubs fans were like, well, I was rooting for them in 2005 when they won it. And I knew some that were like, oh, I was not rooting for them, but hey, I'm happy for them.
You know why though?
But we were all as White Sox fans like, no, I hope the Cubs don't win. I'm rooting for the Indians and I feel dirty for it. I feel so dirty.
So dirty of you guys to root for the Indians because we would never root for the Cardinals over the White Sox.
But I'm happy for all of you.
Of course, because that's
still 3 years later talking about it.
Oh, we love it. And you get to look at it every single time you do a sports show with us. But I will say, that's the one thing. I think Cub fans just – there was a point, that 2005 year, it felt like when that happened, I think a lot of Cub fans, especially the older ones, really felt like it was never going to happen. And I think them seeing the White Sox, it was the bi-curious thing of it. It's like, that's how it would feel. And honestly, like, when it happened in 2016, I was able to – by then, I was already in this career, so for most of it, I was able to have the perspective of a quote-unquote sports radio personality and journalist. I don't think we're considered journalists, whatever, but the I was able to enjoy it as a fan, though. Like, I have, like, just like you in 2005, like, I watch sometimes just the 16 hype video. I can tell you right now, Bryan Cranston leading into Game 7 of the World Series telling, it's Cleveland, Chicago, the Midwest, two teams that haven't won the World Series in a combined 100 and something years, and it meant something. Like, it really, just like that White Sox did, and when that Red Sox went in, shout out to David Ortiz, by the way.
Yeah, man.
How crazy!
Yeah.
You know what? We'll get into that in a second. But just in all, we'll go through nostalgia throughout a bunch of these shows. But Cubs, White Sox, we're feeling good.
Yeah, we're feeling good. Well, I'm just saying, like, it took the Ricketts family and their money to figure out how to turn the Cubs into it. Theo, yes, yeah, Theo Epstein. No, you're right. Absolutely, Theo Epstein. Yeah. But just the whole thing, the beginning of the Cubs thing, I love. And what it's turned into since, and this is everything, brother. Yeah. You remember I was talking about this like 5-6 years ago. Like, it'll be Evil Empire. Okay. It'll be.
And what did I say?
Everything you hate, National League Evil Empire.
And what did I say?
What if they got like 2 or 3 more championships in them? It might happen.
I would love it.
I don't think it will.
I don't think. I think.
But it might happen.
I think Max. I don't think. It might not be this year.
Evil Empire though.
They'll win one more in the next 7 years because I think even by accident they might win one because they keep. It's one of those things where they keep rolling the dice enough times to eventually win one. I don't know if it's this exact nucleus of everything, but yeah, I totally agree with you. And you know what? I appreciate not only what the Cubs have done, but that what it's meant for the city. Because if you notice, a lot of organizations were like, "Fuck, this city loves a goddamn winner." It loves a winner, and we make so much money with winners.
And Chicago deserves a winner.
Look at what the Bears did. Look at what the White Sox are doing. Look what the Blackhawks gave us. The only team that refuses to do it is the Bulls. We'll have plenty of time to talk about that.
But it's on the Bears right now.
It is on the Bears to win. I've never seen the Bears Super Bowl win.
Like, I loved when the Cubs won the World Series. It was like, man, like 20-something odd years or 30
Seems like
years.
a long time.
Yeah, 30,
seems like a long. Isn't it crazy?
Was it, 30 years seems like a long time. 31 years. Yeah,
it is a long time, bro. I've seen.
You were not born in the Bears. Yeah,
I was born in.
I was a little guy. We've talked about this. I was a little guy.
We've seen it all. Like, I've seen all my favorite teams put up banners except for the Bears.
I've seen the Bears.
So
I didn't see him put up the banner, but I remember I knew who Mike Singletary was. Didn't know what a football or Super Bowl was, but I knew the Bears kicked ass. I knew who Walter Payton was.
Right.
I mean, like, I knew who the Bears were.
You know what it meant.
Like, yeah.
I was at the Cubs-Angels game. I had this conversation with my uncle that after the Cubs won the World Series, it was obviously one of the biggest sports moments in the city. A lot of that had to do with how long it took to get to that moment, right? So then I started thinking about like what it meant to be at that parade. And then I was at the last two Blackhawks parades, the one at Soldier Field and the actual one at Grant Park.
Okay.
So I went to both of them. You can check out all the pictures on Instagram. It was just so cool. And I remember like both of those parades. I remember in 2006 into 2007 when the Bears went to the Super Bowl. That's when I met my first girlfriend. So like after that day the Bears lost, I asked her out because I wanted to make my night better.
Okay.
So like I have distinct memories of these things, but we mentioned if the Bears go on in their 100th season with those dope-ass New Jerseys.
Is this really the 100th
This
season?
is
It's the
essentially
100th season. 100th season.
100th season.
Because 1920 was the first season?
I guess. I don't know if they were the Staleys back then. Or
they were the Decatur Staleys. Yeah.
So how big would it really be comparative to the Blackhawks, the Bulls, the White Sox?
Amazing. I mean,
the Bears winning a Super Bowl. Like, I look back at the Cubs. Okay, you're a White Sox fan, but like Radio Paul now. I think we all can agree the Cubs winning the World Series just as a spectacle, which is so.
Oh, it's honestly like as much as I hate it, it's like that's a big deal. The Cubs won the World Series. We saw it in our life team. Yeah.
What do you think the Bears? Now let's take that same view, that bird's eye view of that moment. What do you think the Bears? Maybe not nationally or internationally, but to the city of Chicago.
Well, but no. I'm thinking. I think it'll be more nationally, internationally. I think it'll mean more for the people that don't understand baseball. A lot of people like basketball and football more than they like baseball. So I'm thinking like people that don't care about baseball
Let us
are
know
like,
in the comment section
awesome, the Bears, Chicago. Like they finally did it. Like, but I think like the people that know the Cubs. I'm like, that's a big deal. But like, I just think in general, like the Bears would solidify it as like, we are a legendary sports town.
Right. That's yes. I you know what? It's so funny you say that. Even with all the titles they put up, because Jordan really has solidified. Jordan always has kept us from being the bottom tier. Jordan has single-handedly, and then all the teams that have won since have been able to keep us as a competitive sports city. Mm-hmm. The Bears winning a modern-day Super Bowl solidifies in sports fandom. Chicago is always a major sports town. Mm-hmm. It's like no matter what, the Jordan era, the Bears era, the Cubs, the White Sox, the Blackhawks.
Does it mean as much anymore? Like championships?
To us it does.
Like I mean, championships do, and championships do.
Yeah.
Chicago, but like I mean, can you like
you want to know why? I'll tell you why. Because we're Midwesterners, and I think a lot of it has to do when you live in California. Life is totally different. I think
there's a lot of factors. You're
course,
right, though. That's part of it. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Totally. I totally.
But I mean, I just think like the Eagles. You're like, when are you going to forget about them?
Oh, never. But I don't think you ever do. I think a modern-day Super Bowl is the equivalent of like the heavyweight champion of the world in the 60s.
And like how many Patriots ones, like the ones slotted in. Like this year's one, like are you going to remember this boring-ass Super Bowl from this year?
Probably not. You'll remember more.
I loved that Super Bowl. I love defense. Yeah. I loved it. It was 13-3? Was that the final?
But it's funny you say that, though, because the perspective changes. If you ask Chicagoans about the Super Bowl, their first thought goes to, that could have been the Bears. I agree.
I was there at the time.
But you know what I'm saying, though? Like, that's what
the
Bears
way
fans
everyone
are.
predicted it, too. And the thing is like, football is so hit or miss every year. And, like, the Bears got a great team. They're built for what they got to do right now. And how much do you trust Mitchell Trubisky?
Yeah.
But are they good enough to win and get that far next year? Was last year their shot? Who knows? But at the same time, I don't think it was like, if only Parkey didn't clank that field goal, like the double doink or whatever. Yeah. Everyone predicted that was going to happen.
Which is the worst. That's, again, one of those sports moments. I was here at the studio, and I was watching, and we had pizza, and the first kick happened, and he made it.
Yeah.
But I turned to my brother, I'm like, that was not a good kick.
No.
The second kick happened.
He's not a good kicker.
Yeah. I think that's what it comes out. He wasn't a good kicker. I called it midair. He missed it.
Yeah.
It happened so fast, though. Like, I've never, as a fan, have lived through a moment where it slowed down. I'll be honest with you. I was 13 years old when Moses Alou and Bartman happened. Parkey was slower in the sense of real time.
Yeah,
the real time was like, what? How is this? That's how it was. It was the worst.
Boom. Yep.
And then you just hear, and then in the background, do we have more pizza?
Yeah.
It was one of the worst.
And probably the one guy that's like,
God, that game.
What was your reaction in that moment?
He missed it. How did he miss it? I'll never forget my words.
Like, what was your emotion?
It was a stone face. I felt out of body. And I felt out of body because I legitimately thought we were in for a true. I remember we did a show a few weeks before that, and I thought we were going to talk about a Super Bowl. And I didn't think they were necessarily going to win, but I'm like, this is a team. This is an 06 style team. They might just get there. And then anything happens in a 60-minute game. So, like, that was my thinking the whole time. And when it happened, here's the thing, too. I got a little cocky as a sports fan. The Blackhawks have won a lot of championships. The Cubs have been really good.
Yeah.
I'm kind of used to the idea.
Maybe.
I'm kind of used to the idea of like, oh no, we're gonna win this. Like, we might not win the championship, but we're definitely gonna make a run at it. And then when it just kind of how it ended, you're like, wait, it Cody Parkey really did just end the season. It's an out of body movie experience. Like,
I was laughing, man.
Kevin Smith.
Laughing
Oh yeah,
when it happened. Immediately, I was like, no way. The way everyone said it was probably gonna end just happened.
Which is why when you said that, my idea is it is such a moment.
I was like, you could ask my wife. I was just be like, you got to be kidding me.
Well,
this is just this is what it's like to be a Bears fan or a Chicago fan.
And I this is why, to me, the first thing that came into mind after everything settled down is this would be the best Kevin Smith movie if he was from Chicago and his fan. Because that moment in time in history for all of this city, and that's the worst part, I think, about it. There's certain years where the Bears make the playoffs. We're like, it'd be nice if they make a run, but you're not counting on it.
Yeah, this year was an amazing year. It was a very fun year to be a Bears fan.
Most people,
and I'm a Raiders fan, but I'm a home guy. I'm Chicago. Right. I'm a Bears fan. It was fun to see the Bears win this year. It was very fun, and it hurt to see Khalil Mack was a big reason why. But at the same time, if as a Raiders fan, to see Khalil Mack go anywhere, it was awesome to see him go to the Bears. If that was the one team, hey, the one team, all right, put him on the Bears. And you would have loved it if I would have sold that to you. Like, hey, Khalil Mack, what do you think?
I would have given out everything for Khalil Mack. Oh my God, when that trade happened,
it worked out.
I can't believe that trade. So, shout out to John Gruden. Speaking of Gruden,
and people say Gruden's an idiot, but honestly, I think he's building something.
Building a nice bank account.
Have you seen that team?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Speaking of that team, they'll be the team of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
Oh, I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
I at the same time, I'm a little mad because it's only I get the inside access for my team.
No, the rest of the world probably does.
But I think it'll be a great story. Honestly, Vontez Perfect, Richie Incognito.
Yeah.
Those two assholes.
Oh, yeah.
The Raiders.
Yeah.
They're Raiders. Those guys are Raiders. They are Raiders. They are Raiders. They are Raiders. Yeah.
What about your boy Antonio Brown?
I think they should sign in Ndamukong too. He'd be a Raider too. But
how about Albert Hainsworth while we're at it?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But so they got those guys. Antonio Brown. Carter Brown.
I don't know. I think it's fun. I think it's great TV.
Carter Crabtree and Carter Cooper had their moments.
I think they have a legitimate shot of winning making the playoffs in that division.
Maybe.
I mean, other than Kansas City. Here's why, though, because we know
Kansas City, I think, will be the best team.
Yeah, but the idea is in the NFL, there's always two teams that are making the playoffs or not, and two teams that.
How are the Chargers? Chargers regress or they're better?
They were good last. I picked the Chargers to make the Super Bowl.
I think Raiders might be a year away, but we'll see. I don't know.
It's football.
Yeah,
it's football.
Year to year.
Yeah, it's literally year to year. And they had such a bad year that the turnaround, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
It's inevitable that the turnaround happens.
Now I'm hearing Carl Joseph is just pumped. He's going to have a good year, hopefully. maybe just
I like
bows
that
out,
guy.
yeah.
He's got a good hand.
He's a hitter. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like the Raiders. We're talking Raiders on this podcast. Yeah, forget it. Yeah.
All right, Paulie. I think that'll do it for the first turnaround of this Sports from the Couch. What do you got in mind?
I feel like we're missing something here. What are we missing?
We talked Cubs. We talked some White Sox. We talked some Stanley Cup. We did a little U.S. women's soccer.
The finals.
We talked some finals and Durant. Do you think we missed anything else?
Hey, did you know that Liverpool's the best team in Europe?
Sir, you know what, and that is how Paul got kicked out of the Mercado Airwaves Network. Congratulations on the cricketers. Let me ask you this. So when do they play like Chivas, United, FC's, Liverpool, Liberty?
If you really want to go into that,
I really don't. Thank you so much, Paul, for joining us on this episode. We had a lot of fun on here. If you've missed anything or you want to talk about anything else, let us know. Paul, while we're wrapping up things, what do we have going on in the Stanley Cup? Are we still in intermission?
I turned it off. But yeah.
You know what? While we're doing that, Paul, why don't you talk a little bit about some stuff that you have going on or that you have on top of the mind while I give us a little quick update of some Stanley Cup talk.
Honestly, I got a kid on the way and just a whole job change. So I'm a free agent right now, so I'm just kind of enjoying life. It's a great time to be alive. It's just good summer 2019.
Yeah, it's the summer of Paul. All right, George Costanza. Jesus Christ! If you start giving people batting tips in Yankee practice, I mean, really, man, it is currently 2-0 in the second period.
Yeah, I gave my kid batting tips and I gave my kid batting tips, it's so cool. It's such a cool story. My stepson, my son Charlie, youngest, plays baseball. He's the baseball guy, but he struggled to hit for a while when he was younger. Struggled to hit, and it was you get a base hit, you get an ice cream, and he did it, and got another base hit. Do I get more ice creams? And it's it doesn't work like that, and you work at it. I was trying to explain to him hey, it's frustrating. You strike out, you look terrible up there, but you just got to keep working on what you do. Yeah. It's seriously, it's one of those things where it's you're going to fail at it. Let yourself fail at it. In baseball, especially, trying to be a hitter, you're going to fail. You're designed to fail. You fail more than you succeed. You'll get the good ones.
300, if you hit 3 out of 10 times in your career, you're a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. So. 7 out of 10 times you're getting out there, So it's I don't know. And he hit a home run.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I should have prefaced it with I promised him back in the day, hey man, you ever hit a home run, a real home run, over the fence home run, not an inside the parker, not a ground out to third, but they overthrew the first baseman, and then you got to third, and they overthrew the third baseman.
Right.
He did it, and I owe him a steak. I told him I'd take him out to a nice steak dinner.
Good for him.
You got a recommendation? I told him a nice steak dinner, two boys out on the town.
Yeah, we got a couple ones depending on how big his
Gibson,
belly is.
Gibson,
is great. There's a couple. I'll suggest a couple. I got a couple people that might hook you up. So
for you Chicagoans out there,
Seasons 52 is a good one.
If you get this in time, if I haven't taken them, I haven't scheduled it. It's not that I'm holding out. It's just we're finding the time.
Paul's on Twitter.
I told him I promised my kid this 4 years ago, and it's it's so awesome that it worked towards it. And
I love it too. And Charlie's got a bigger too, so he'll appreciate it. Give Paul suggestions at Twitter at Paul Chivari. Paulie, this was a lot of fun. I think we're going to keep doing this. I love talking baseball with you, but more importantly, I just kind of cracking a couple beers and doing a legit sports from the couch. I think that's what's really important. Like Paul said, there's some stuff going on behind the scenes, not necessarily at Mercado Airwaves, but at the other place of employment that Paul and I occupy.
We do our thing. We do our thing.
We don't want to bore you guys with it, and we also don't want it to be on audio. So as of right now, maybe when everything happens, but So as we'll play it by ear and keep doing it like this, but I always enjoy our conversations, but I enjoy more than just talking about baseball. That as much as we enjoy talking about it, it handcuffs us that we know more than baseball. Hell, we know more than sports. But if we're gonna keep it sports and live talk and whatnot, then at least we can expand it. It is our stuff, so I'm having a good time about it. But other than that, buddy, you got anything else you want to talk to the people before we head out?
No, I'm all good. We should do this a lot.
I think that what people call a tease, my friend. He is at Paul Chivari. I'm at Mercado2333. The network's at Mercado Airwaves. Download the podcast anywhere you get your favorite podcast. Like, rate, review, and share us at Mercado Airwaves. YouTube.com/MikeMercado2333. Facebook.com/Mercado Airwaves. And, of course, play video games with me. It's E3 week. I'm on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. Shout out to Munch Art Design for powering us here. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Sports from the Couch with Mike Mercado and Paul Chivari. For Paul Chivari,
At Paul Chivari.
I'm Mike Mercado at Mercado2333. We'll see you guys next time.
Enjoy our shows? Follow the Mercado Airwaves crew all over social media. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. On Instagram, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado2121. Mike is at Mike Mercado2333. And our true crime show is at Murder Mysteries and More. And on Twitter, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado21Alex. And Mike is at Mercado2333. You can follow the network at Mercado Airwaves. Follow our pop culture show on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. Get us on the go by downloading our programs anywhere you get your favorite podcast, like iTunes, SoundCloud, Podbean, Stitcher, and other popular sites. Just search us at Mercado Airwaves. While you're at it, please like, rate, review, and share us with your friends. Visit us on youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. Click the subscribe and like button to get notified every time a new episode or interview is posted. Support Mercado Airwaves by visiting patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves, the home of our interviews with athletes and celebrities, which you can get ad-free and early before it's released to the public. Come play video games with us on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. Mercado Airwaves is powered by Munch Art Design. Like them on Facebook at Munch Art Design. Voiceover work on Mercado Airwaves is performed by Josh Fox.
What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
another day at the office, I get to go out there and test my skill.
to award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones. Orlando, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, sir. I'm good, brother. How you doing?
And all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support.